Vesa Häkkinen. I work as a senior mission secretary in Church Council of Finnish Evangelical Lutheran Church of Finland.
And the press conference are live streamed. It's possible for journalists following abroad to also send their questions by email or by Twitter. All the information available on the World Council of Churches website. The press conference will be maximum 30 minutes from now. And I would like my colleague Vesa to introduce the panel.
The panelists are from left to right. Reverend Dr. Olav Tutseveit, General Secretary of the World Council of Churches. Then Reverend Dr. Kimmo Kääriäinen, Executive Director of the Evangelical Lutheran Churches of Finland International Department. Bishop Korilos, moderator for World Mission of Councils. Commission for World Mission and Evangelism. And then Vice Moderator for World Mission of Councils, Commission for World Mission and Evangelism, Reverend Dr. Janet Collett, and then Director for World Mission of World Council of Churches, Commission for World Mission and Evangelism, Reverend Dr. Risto Jukko.
Thank you very much, and we have invited the panelists to introduce themselves and the topic of the day. The World Council of Churches and the work worldwide, and with special focus on the World Mission Conference in Arusha. May I invite Reverend Dr. Olav Tutseveit, the General Secretary of the World Council of Churches, to open up.
The World Council of Churches was established in 1948 in Amsterdam, but it was prepared long before that. One of the very important preparing and also quite decisive events all the way to the World Council of Churches was the Great Mission Conference in Edinburgh in 1910. I say this to say that the roots of the World Council of Churches was actually very much in the mission movement. And that is also what we see here in this commission meeting here in Finland this day, that what we do as the World Council of Churches must also find its expression in how we stay together, but also how we move together and how we witness together, how we do our work together as churches. For the World Council of Churches, it is a privilege to be here, but also to be here together with this commission representing churches all around the world, but also our partners in mission and others. And also use this opportunity to say a word of thanks to the churches here in Finland who are member churches, the Lutheran Church and the Orthodox Church, but also to the partners in mission and in Church Aid and others who also contribute a lot to the work of the World Council of Churches. For me as a General Secretary, it is not only a good exercise to say our names and the names of all our commission correctly. I have exercised for more than 10 years, so we should relax about that. But we have more commissions, and these commissions are representing different dimensions of our work. And one way to look at them are having them as muscles of the work. We have for faith and order, we have for international affairs, we have for education and formation, and we have for youth, and we also for mission and evangelism. And one of the great events in this period between our 10th Assembly and the 11th Assembly, between 2013 and 2021, was the World Mission Conference held in Arusha in Tanzania last year, organized by much of the work done by the Commission, but also with the whole World Council of Churches staff and what we could do together with a local host in Tanzania. It brought some new dimensions to our work. One was a dimension of bringing new generation into the work of the World Council of Churches, but also to bring them together with the seniors and to say, we have all something to contribute, but also to share the different dimensions of spirituality, to share our vision, but also to really pray and work together. To finally, I would say, to bring a dimension of being church, namely to focus on discipleship. What does it mean to follow Jesus Christ today in the many contexts of the world? That is what we are here to discuss as well as we follow up this very important event in Arusha.
Thank you very much for that. We would like to invite also Reverend Dr. Kimmo Kärinen, and you are working as Executive Director for International Relations, and you are the local host. Why did you invite World Council of Churches to organize the commission meeting?
Well, when World Council of Churches was founded, our church was one of the founding churches of World Council of Churches, and we are very committed members to that global ecumenical organization. It was a couple of years ago when we got a question whether it would be possible to host this meeting, and of course we had to consider a little bit whether it's realistic, and then fortunately we managed to allocate enough funds for that, and in addition managed to find an excellent location, so this cultural center Sofia, where we are now. Unfortunately, those who are just in live stream, they don't realize how beautiful this place is, and especially how beautiful Finnish spring can be. Then we said yes, and now we are in fact very proud that it's possible for us to host such a unique ecumenical meeting, which is for many years the most significant ecumenical meeting held in Finland, and we are very happy to have you here. And that's also a platform for our church and for the churches in Finland to learn from the mission experiences and evangelism experiences from different parts of the world.
Thank you.
Dear Bishop Korilos, moderator of the Commission for World Mission and Evangelism, you have been discussing here about the call, Arusha call. Could you tell us something about the purpose of the meeting?
Thank you. The Commission on World Mission and Evangelism, as the General Secretary has just pointed out, along with the Faith and Order and the Life and Work Commissions, has been one of the three main pillars, foundational pillars of the World Council of Churches. And standing in the long and rich tradition of the International Missionary Council, which was a result of the 1910 Edinburgh Conference, the Commission on World Mission and Evangelism is mandated to organize a World Mission Conference roughly once every 10 years. And as it has been already said by the General Secretary, in March 2018, the Commission on World Mission and Evangelism of the World Council of Churches organized a World Mission Conference in Arusha, in Tanzania, which was in fact the largest World Mission Conference ever since 1910 Edinburgh Conference. We had more than 1,000 participants representing the Roman Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant, Evangelical, Pentecostal, and other streams of world Christianity. We had 32% of the participants from Africa, 42% were women, 25% were youth. It was such a meaningful event that we could organize in Africa, in Arusha. One of the major purposes of this meeting here in Helsinki is to look at the Arusha World Mission Conference by way of evaluating it. And this is what we have done so far in the meeting here in Helsinki. We have had a critical look at the way it was organized, some of the insights that we have produced, and we are also here to look beyond Arusha, especially with a view to offering missiological contributions to the theme of the next General Assembly of the World Council of Churches, which will take place in Germany in 2021. And that is the second major important task of this commission meeting here. One is to look at the Arusha World Mission Conference by way of evaluating it. The second is to look through Arusha and beyond Arusha, now towards Karlsruhe in Germany, the General Assembly of the World Council of Churches. If there is a chance later on, I'll have a word or two about the Arusha call to discipleship. Thank you.
And Vice Moderator, Reverend Dr. Janet Collett, what would you add on that?
I'd like to add something, thank you. I'd like to add something about the Arusha call, and also, as I bring greetings from the British Methodist Church, also maybe try and speak up a little for what the commissioners have been saying in the meeting, what we've been discussing, how we've been feeling about our time in Arusha, and reflecting on the experience of the conference. So most of us haven't met since Arusha, so it's been a time of reflecting together, seeing what the message of transforming discipleship means for us personally, for our churches, for our countries. And we've been asking ourselves really in our meeting, was it just a nice experience? Or has it touched us? Has it changed us? Will it change anything? The Arusha call was the outcome, the consensus outcome of the meeting, and I believe it's a very prophetic call. And it's a prophetic call particularly to those of us sitting comfortably in the global north, to remember that this is no longer the centre of worldwide Christianity, and maybe to read the call in such a way that we really listen. Sometimes I have to read it and quote from it because the language doesn't even come easily out of my brain, if you like. So the call reminds us that some of us live in areas where we're just addicted to accumulating wealth and sitting comfortably in our own power and privilege. And so what we've been discussing partly in our commission is how do we change? How do we really hear the call? And shouldn't it be disturbing us? Because in the conference itself, it wasn't dominated by voices from the north. We heard the voices from many, many people who are often not heard. And we heard them very passionately, and especially the young people asking, do they have a future? What is the future for the world, for the climate, for the church, for their faith? So we've sort of been self-searching, personally searching. We really don't want the work to get lost in nice documents and things that only professors will read. You know, Jesus said, I've come to be good news to the poor, and I pray the Holy Spirit will help us to listen.
Thank you very much, and a reminder to journalists following us online, it's still possible to send your questions by email or Twitter. I have received so far 3 questions, and my colleague Santi will follow up on other questions. It's an open invitation to ask anything regarding WCC and mission and evangelism with the panel in front of us. We have a final panelist, Dr. Risto Juko, the director of mission and evangelism, and you could explain a little bit more why a meeting taking place in Helsinki between 16th to 22nd of May, many days.
I see this meeting as a link of a chain, a long chain of modern ecumenical movement, which really began in Edinburgh 1910, and of course was a parent movement, shall I say, a parent conference or meeting for faith and order, for World Council of Churches, for Commission of Churches of International Affairs, and so forth. And why in Helsinki? I think because these Nordic countries have a long tradition in mission. They have been very active in participating, and for instance, the Finnish Mission Council was a founding member of the International Missionary Council in Lake Mohonk in USA in 1921. And also because I think last time when the conference organized by the Commission on World Mission and Evangelism was organized in Southern Europe, that was in Athens 2005, maybe it was now a good time to come to the north of Europe and especially to Finland.
Thank you for that. Any questions in the auditorium, or should we take a question from Evangelisk Presidinch? They have sent a question. It's addressed to the General Secretary and Bishop Korillos. How do you look at the role of World Council of Churches in relation to mission strategies for the future? May I invite the General Secretary or Bishop Korillos first?
Thank you. I think this is a very important question. The General Secretary has already mentioned in his opening remarks that the roots of the ecumenical movement, at least to the modern ecumenical movement, can be traced back to the mission movement. And we kept repeating the 1910 landmark mission conference that took place in Edinburgh. So it is a mission movement that created the modern ecumenical movement. And that is why the CWME, the Commission on World Mission and Evangelism, continues to be one of those foundational pillars of the World Council of Churches. The General Secretary this morning, when he addressed the Commission, said there cannot be an ecumenical movement without the mission movement. So this integral link between mission and unity is one that is cannot be overemphasized. And we have taken all measures to make sure that they belong together. In 1961, when the World Council of Churches merged with the International Missionary Council, that was one of the major objectives, to make sure that mission and unity, concerns of unity and mission, would belong together in the life and work of the ecumenical movement. And that is why CWME is an integral part of the World Council of Churches. And this morning, when the General Secretary addressed us, he has reassured that that will be the case even in the future, that he will make sure that mission will form a priority, and it will place itself at the heart of the life and work of the WCC.
Thank you for that. May I invite also the WCC General Secretary to respond to the same question?
As the moderator have affirmed already what I've said, I can also challenge what I said a little bit myself from 2 points. Namely that it is not only necessary for the ecumenical movement to have work in mission involved, but it's also very important for the ecumenical movement to have also a space and a format to discuss the difficult questions related to mission. And some of them are involved in the conversations also in this meeting. Some of them are also very, very important part of our history. How should we deal with the post-colonial or the need to end the colonial time? And that was a very heavy issue also for the mission societies and for the churches. And in this it was extremely important then to have ecumenical fora established in which this could be discussed, but also discussed for the sake of new strategies and new ways of doing mission together. But we needed also, for example, a very important discussion of what does salvation actually mean in our world today. And today we need to continue our discussion, what does it mean to live together with people of different faith in all contexts and in all countries in the world. How do we understand our mission as churches then? And therefore it's very important part of the strategy of living together as churches is also how we do mission together.
Thank you for that. Should I take the second question from Osservatore Romano and then ask Santi to ask 1 or 2 questions? I have a question from Osservatore Romano to Bishop Korillos and Dr. Corlett. What is the most important outcome you expect from the meeting in Helsinki?
So, as I was saying, one of the important things for me is that we really think about how we can make the experience in Arusha, the spiritual experience, to make it live and to be practical in the life of the Church, of the World Council of Churches and the world. So I think here we're also discussing how we remain, if you like, the warm heart and the beating heart and the passionate heart that sometimes reminds the rest of the organisation that we are first and foremost humble, rooted followers of Christ, and everything else flows from that.
Thanks for that. May I ask Bishop Cornelius to add?
Yeah, for me, one of the major outcomes that I hope we will have from this meeting in Helsinki is that the fresh energy that we have created in Arusha in terms of missiological thinking can be carried forward from here, at least until the General Assembly as far as this commission is concerned. Ever since Dietrich Bonhoeffer's revolutionary notion of costly discipleship, I think it has been the effort of the CWME to give a new life to this notion of discipleship. So when we came up with this idea of transforming discipleship, I think it has created, as the General Secretary has said this morning, it has given rise to a new discourse, a fresh discourse on discipleship. I think we need to make sure that that momentum is not lost, and the Commission here is trying everything that is possible to make sure that that momentum is carried on to the work and life towards the General Assembly that is planned in 2021.
Thanks for that. I will ask Santi Murphy, Communication Officer, to read one of the questions we have received from media following online.
Two questions, similar, simple but very important one. What does the Arusha call mean to the world, and also in a personal level?
Could we ask Bishop Cornelius and then Dr. Corlett, and maybe we could also invite Dr. Kimmo Kerinen from the local church.
For me personally, particularly as the moderator of the Commission, the Arusha call to discipleship means a great deal. Given the scenario that the World Council of Churches functions with this consensus model, and given the wide spectrum of traditions and theologies and perspectives that we represent within the fellowship of the CWME, it is almost impossible to come up with a consensus on a particular text or a document. And for CWME Mission Conference in Arusha to achieve that consensus around a very important theological, missiological text on discipleship, was nothing short of a miracle for me. There were moments when I thought as moderator this was not going to be the case. Even on the penultimate day of the conference, there were sections within the Arusha call to discipleship that even the drafters could not get a consensus around. But we prayed a lot. I personally prayed a great deal, deep within myself. I knew that miracles could happen. And on the final day, on the final session, when the final draft of the Arusha call to discipleship was being discussed in the plenary, it was not an easy process, but towards the end of the session, I could only see a sea of orange cards, which meant an overwhelming affirmation of the Arusha call to discipleship. I praise God for that. It was a particular moment of feeling a great sense of pride, of having achieved something remarkable on behalf of the CWME. Therefore, for me personally, and as the moderator of the Commission, when I was thinking at one point what would be the perception of the world about the World Mission Conference in Arusha if we did not have a conference message. It would have been terrible if we left Arusha with all that kind of energy that we created there, but to leave Arusha without a conference message, without a statement that had consensus, it would have been a terrible loss. But the fact that we've achieved that, I think it's something that we can all be proud of, particularly for the CWP.
Thank you very much for that. Dr. Corlett?
I think to speak personally, the call, it has to make people like me uncomfortable. That's the purpose, and that would make a big difference in the world if people who are in the global north were really challenged by God's word coming through the call. And you know, it reminds us that you know, we have to step back and we have to let go of holding on to so much, and it's bad for us to be holding on to so much material wealth, and it impoverishes our spirit, and we're not following Christ. So that's personal for me, and it hopefully could challenge people like me in the north.
Thanks for that. Could we invite Dr. Kernan?
Yeah, well, it's easy to continue from that. I also see that Arusha Call challenges us and also can be a kind of eye-opening document, eye-opening approach. So it's always so important to look at the reality in other parts of the world and learn from the experiences of other churches which are working in quite different environments than ours, because it's easily so that we just continue the same path, but that kind of approach can open our eyes, it can challenge, but in fact also encourage.
Thanks for that. Time flies when we are talking about interesting topic. I would like to invite also the General Secretary to say something more personal. What do you think about the Arusha Call? What do you bring back to the ordinary work of WCC?
It is a text that can be read by anybody, and I think anybody who are familiar with the Christian faith and who live their faith in our churches will feel that this is not a text for the experts, it's a text for me and for anybody who tried to find out what does it actually mean to follow Jesus Christ in our time. What I also find in this particular text is a willingness to say, actually we are not here only to discuss something, we are here to transform the world together. We are here to follow the call from God to show Christ's love in the world today, but as a transforming power against all the divisions, against all who exploit the world and its resources for their own benefit, against tribalism, against divisions, against anything that destroy our human fellowship, but also the world. And we find here a very practical, and a very concrete, and a very hopeful text saying, well, actually, we can do something, and let us do it.
Thank you very much. That will be the final word. We can do something. We could make a difference in the world. Thank you very much for the time. Stay tuned. We are back in 1 hour, and we are going to launch the Arusha report. Welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you.